The email came at 3:02 a.m., buried between spam and overdue bill reminders, with a subject line that simply read, Isabella Morrow. Maya stared at it for several seconds, heart pounding before she even clicked. The name was a punch to the stomach, a whisper from a life she'd buried 5 years ago and had no intention of digging up.
Until now.
The message was brief. Maya, I need to see you. It's urgent. Please call me. There was a phone number. A New York area code. Maya hovered over it, her fingers shaking, then pulled her hand back like it had burned her. She sat back on her worn-out couch, surrounded by graded papers, cold coffee, and the flickering glow of the cheap lamp she couldn't afford to replace. Her tiny studio apartment smelled like lavender and overwork, and the walls were thin enough to hear her neighbor argue with their cat. This was her life now.
Simple. Scrappy.
Hers. Isabella Morrow didn't belong in it. Isabella belonged to champagne penthouses and designer silence. To heels that clicked on marble floors and secrets dressed in couture. To that golden, untouchable world that Maya had once been allowed to glimpse and had run from the second her heart cracked under its weight. She shouldn't call. She knew that. But she did. She didn't speak when the line connected. Neither did Isabella. For 5 whole seconds, it was just breath. Familiar. Heavy. Dangerous. You called, Isabella said first. Her voice was deeper than Maya remembered.
Slower.
Like honey left out in the cold. You emailed me. I didn't know if you'd respond. I didn't know if I should. I need you. Maya's heart clenched. That's not fair. I know. So why now? Can we meet? Isabella. Please. That word was a weapon in her mouth. Maya didn't know why she said yes. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was that part of her that had never stopped wondering why Isabella had vanished without saying goodbye 5 years ago. Maybe it was the quiet ache that never quite left her chest when she heard the name Morrow. They met at a rooftop bar the next night. Maya arrived early, heart pacing, hands sweating. She hadn't worn anything fancy. Just a black dress that hugged her body in a way that made her feel braver than she was, and her most decent pair of heels. She regretted them immediately. The second Isabella walked in, every molecule of air shifted. She looked the same, and nothing like she used to. Her dark hair was pulled back in a low, expensive twist. Her lips painted a color Maya couldn't name, and her black suit was tailored so perfectly it looked illegal. But her eyes...
God, her eyes.
They were still the same stormy blue that used to light up when she talked about Kafka or when Maya brought her street tacos after a night out. Hi, Isabella said, stopping 2 feet away. Hi, Maya replied, trying not to let her voice shake. They didn't hug. They didn't smile. They just stared. You look, Isabella began, then stopped. You cut your hair. You didn't. Isabella let out a breath that was almost a laugh. I wasn't sure you'd come. I'm still not sure I should've. Fair. They sat. Ordered drinks. Talked about the weather like strangers. Then Maya set her glass down and said, Why am I here? Isabella looked away. I need to get married. Maya blinked. You're joking. No. Is this one of those crazy rich people things? It's in the will. What? Isabella sighed, fingers lacing together. My grandfather had a clause in his will. A very old-fashioned, very controlling clause. I inherit the estate in full if I marry before my 30th birthday. Which is when? 60 days from now. Jesus. Exactly. Maya stared. So marry someone. Get a lawyer. Do what people like you do when they don't want to deal with emotions. I tried. And they wanted the money. Or the name. Or something I wasn't willing to give. Maya crossed her arms. And you came to me? Isabella's gaze didn't waver. Because you're the only person I've ever known who didn't want anything from me. I wanted you. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Isabella flinched. I know. Silence. Sharp. Icy. Maya stood. This was a mistake. Maya, you disappeared. I had to.
No. You chose to.
You broke my heart, and now you're here asking me to marry you? Yes. Maya froze. Say that again. I'm asking you to marry me. For 60 days.
For 2 years. We stay married, then divorce quietly.
You get your life back. And I get my inheritance. And what do I get? Security. Enough money to never worry again. A business if you want. Anything. Except you. Isabella didn't answer. Maya looked at her for a long time, then said, I need to think. Of course. And if I say no, then I lose everything. And if I say yes? Isabella's voice was barely a whisper. Then we both do. Maya walked away. Her heart wasn't ready, but something had cracked open. And deep down, even through the ache, a tiny voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, she was about to get the one thing she'd wanted all along. A second chance. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay on her mattress with the city humming outside her window and the ghost of Isabella Moreau sitting at the edge of her thoughts like a weight she couldn't shake. It had been 5 years. 5 years without a message, a call, a single explanation for the way their friendship had evaporated like it never mattered. And now she shows up, composed, radiant, and still devastatingly magnetic, asking for marriage like it's a business pitch. Maya closed her eyes, tried to breathe.
But all she could hear was that voice.
I'm asking you to marry me.
No, not yet.
The next day was a blur. She stood in front of her classroom, lecturing on 19th century poetry with the detachment of someone whose soul was somewhere else. Her students didn't notice. They were too busy scrolling, yawning, living in a world that hadn't broken them yet. At lunch, she pushed food around her tray, ignored her coworkers' chatter, and checked her phone more times than she'd admit. No messages. No calls. Not that she expected any. Isabella wasn't the type to beg. She offered. You either said yes or you didn't. Still, when the school day ended, Maya didn't go home. She went to the park. The one near campus where they used to spend hours sprawled on the grass, sharing fries and mocking the couples who made out too loudly. It hadn't changed much. Same benches, same stubborn pigeons, same fountain that always smelled vaguely of pennies and summer. She sat there for a while, breathing it in. And then, because the universe had a sense of humor, Isabella appeared. No driver. No entourage. Just her. In jeans and a coat too expensive to pretend to be casual, walking like the sidewalk owed her something. Maya stood, already bristling. Are you following me?
No.
I guessed. Of course you did. You always came here when you needed to think. You don't get to remember things about me. Why not? Because you left. Isabella's jaw tightened. You don't know why. And you never gave me the chance to. I wanted to, but you didn't. Maya, no. Don't say my name like we're still us. We're not. Isabella stepped closer. I know what I did. And I'm sorry. I handled it the only way I knew how badly. I was scared and selfish, and it's taken me 5 years to admit that out loud. Maya stared at her. Why me? Isabella blinked. What? Why not find someone else? A socialite, a model, one of the women who actually belong in your world. Because they all want something from me. And you think I don't. I think you want something real. You always did. Maya folded her arms. So you think I'm your safest bet? I think you're the only person I trust not to turn this into a circus. I'm not a lifeboat, Isabella. I know. And I'm not your consolation prize. You never were. That silence again, the one that used to mean say something before I do. Maya looked away. What happens if I say no? Then I lose my inheritance. And what happens if you do? Isabella hesitated. I lose control. My family hands everything to my cousin. I get a payout, sure, but no stake, no board seat. No power. It's not about the money, Maya. It's about keeping what's mine. You're still fighting them, aren't you? Always. And I'm supposed to help you in? Isabella's voice softened. You used to want to. Maya hated how much that sentence hurt. She turned away, ready to leave. But then Isabella added, quieter. Do you remember the last thing I said to you? Maya stopped. Yes. What was it? Don't wait for me. And you said, I won't. Did you? Maya didn't answer, didn't look back, just walked away with her heart thundering, her breath uneven, and her past clawing its way into the present. She didn't sleep that night either. Not because she didn't want to, but because her mind kept replaying the way Isabella had looked at her, like she was the only lifeline in a world full of wolves. And damn her, but a part of Maya still wanted to save her. Maya didn't hear from Isabella for 3 days. Not a message. Not a call. Not even a ghost of her in the shadows outside Maya's apartment, though part of her kept glancing out the window like she expected to see that familiar black car parked across the street. She hated how disappointed she was. Hated how silence from Isabella felt louder than anything else. But she also knew what she was doing, protecting herself. Because being near Isabella was like standing too close to a fire she swore she could handle until it burned her again. Still, when the school week ended and Friday night rolled in like a fog, Maya found herself walking through Manhattan with no real destination. Her feet led her, as if pulled by something her heart hadn't agreed to. She ended up in front of a building she hadn't seen in years, the Morrow Foundation.
Sleek.
Monolithic. Cold glass and silver letters that screamed power. The inside was worse. All white marble and curated silence, with an assistant who barely looked up before asking, appointment. Tell her Maya's here, she said. The assistant paused, blinked, then picked up the phone. Less than a minute later, the elevator opened. Isabella was standing inside, alone. She'll see you now, the assistant said, but Maya was already walking. They didn't speak on the ride up. Isabella didn't look surprised to see her. Just tired. Like she'd been carrying a weight even her name couldn't shield her from. When the doors opened, Maya expected an office. What she got was a rooftop. Cold air, string lights, and a single table with 2 glasses of wine waiting, untouched. You brought me to a rooftop again, Maya said quietly. It seemed fitting. Why? Because last time I left you with nothing but silence. I didn't want to do that again. Maya stepped out, crossing her arms. This is dramatic, even for you. I wanted you to see what you'd be marrying into. All of it. Not just the pressure. Not just the lawyers and contracts and deadlines. This. She gestured to the skyline. The future I've spent my whole life chasing. And I'm supposed to fit into that? No, Isabella said. You're supposed to change it. That caught Maya off guard. Excuse me? I'm tired of building a legacy that doesn't feel like mine. I've been shaped by other people's expectations since I could walk. But you, she took a step closer. You were the only person who ever made me want something different. You made me feel like I didn't have to perform. You performed with me, too. I know. And I hate that. You broke me, Isabella. Her voice cracked. You disappeared without a word. I waited for a text, a letter, anything. You chose them over me. I chose survival. You could have trusted me. I should have. But you didn't. No, Isabella said, and for the first time, her voice shook. And I think about that every day. Maya looked away, blinking too fast. So why now? Because I don't want to make the same mistake twice. Maya turned back. Isabella was standing so close now that Maya could smell the hint of vanilla on her skin. I won't pretend I'm not asking you for something impossible, she said. But I'm also offering you something real. You could say no, walk away, and I wouldn't blame you. But if there's even the smallest part of you that wonders what would have happened if I hadn't left, her eyes searched Maya's. Then say yes. Maya's heart was a battlefield. 100 past versions of herself screaming different things. But her voice stayed steady. You still don't get it. Then explain it. I never needed your money. I never cared about your name. I loved you before all of that meant anything. And you shattered that without looking back. Now you're here, offering me a deal, as if I'm supposed to believe it means something more. It does. Prove it. I'm trying. Maya took a breath. This isn't just a contract, Isabella. If I do this, it's not for the money. It's not for the title. It's because a part of me still believes in the version of you I saw back then. The one who used to sneak me flowers after class and fall asleep with her head in my lap quoting Virginia Woolf. Isabella's expression cracked open. That version still exists. Then show me. Maya stepped back. I'm not saying yes. Not yet. But I'll see you tomorrow. You will. If I'm going to marry you, I need to remember who I'd be marrying. And then she turned and walked toward the elevator. Isabella didn't follow. She just stood there, breathless, heart racing, and terrified. Because for the first time, this wasn't about business. It was about Maya. And if she lost her now, again, she wouldn't survive it a second time. Maya showed up at the Morrow estate the next afternoon wearing jeans, boots that had seen better days, and a denim jacket she'd owned since college. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was trying to remember who Isabella Moreau had been before the diamonds, the legacy, the icy gaze sharpened by 5 years of distance. Isabella opened the massive oak door herself. No butler. No assistant. Just her, barefoot, in black leggings and a loose navy sweater, her hair tied in a messy knot that looked too soft for someone so composed. She stared for a second too long before stepping aside. You came. You said to meet you here, Maya replied, walking in. I didn't say I was coming alone. Isabella raised an eyebrow. You brought backup? Memories. Doubt. Some spite. You know, the usual. Isabella actually laughed. Soft. Real. Maya felt it hit somewhere she'd buried. The house hadn't changed much. Still marble and glass, towering windows, and expensive silence. But the lights were dimmed, the fireplaces lit, and something smelled like cinnamon. Are you baking? Maya asked, suspicious. I had someone bake. Of course. But I made the tea. Maya smirked. Wow. Look at you. Domestic goddess. Don't push it. They sat in the living room. Maya took in the space, the gold frames, the velvet furniture, the giant oil painting above the fireplace that had always creeped her out. I forgot how intimidating your house is. You said it looked like a museum with commitment issues. Still does. They sipped tea, ate cookies, talked about old professors, bad dates, worse movies. And slowly, the tension softened. Maya found herself leaning into the familiarity. Isabella loosened. Her shoulders dropped. She smiled more. And when their fingers brushed as they reached for the same cookie, neither pulled away. I miss this, Isabella said finally, voice low. I missed you. Maya didn't speak. She couldn't. Can I show you something? Isabella stood. Maya followed her down the hall, past locked doors and untouched rooms. Isabella opened a door at the end of the corridor Maya had never noticed before. Inside was light. Color. Canvas. Paint. Chaos. What is this? My studio, Isabella said. You paint. I used to. A long time ago. I stopped when everything got loud. And now I'm trying to remember who I was before the noise. Maya stepped closer to a canvas, a half-finished piece, bold and abstract, jagged lines and clashing colors. It was angry. Alive. This one's about me, she said. Isabella smiled faintly. That obvious? It's too messy to be about anyone else. You were never messy. You were human. And I couldn't handle that. But you want to now? Isabella didn't answer. She walked to a drawer and pulled out a velvet box. Inside were 2 simple rings. No diamonds. Just white gold and quiet intention. I had them made, she said. No pressure. But I needed to see what it felt like to hold something real again. Maya stared at the rings. Then at Isabella. I'm not doing this for the money. I know. And I'm not doing it just for you. Isabella's voice caught. Then why? Because I think I want to find out what we could have been. And maybe still could be. Silence. Then Isabella reached forward, slow, tentative, and touched Maya's hand. So, is that a yes? Maya didn't smile, didn't look away. It's a maybe, but it's enough to get started. Isabella exhaled, relief and terror mixing in her eyes. You have no idea what you're about to walk into. I grew up poor, slept on a futon for 3 years, and survived your ghost. I think I can handle your family. You might regret this. Probably. But you'll still marry me? Maya nodded. I'll marry you. Isabella stepped closer. For real? For now. Good enough. They stood there, inches apart, eyes locked, the past trembling behind them and the future cracking open in front of them. We need a plan, Maya said. Rules. A story. Details. Already drafted it. Of course you did. Isabella smirked. I'm sending my lawyer tomorrow. She'll walk you through the agreement. 2 years, ironclad. After that, you're free with a percentage of the inheritance and full ownership of whatever business you want to launch. And what do you get? Isabella's voice softened.
You.
Even if it's just pretend. Maya looked at her. We both know it won't be.
The first kiss didn't come that night.
But the weight of it hung between them like something inevitable. Like gravity. Like truth they weren't ready to speak yet, but already felt in every glance. The ring felt too heavy on Maya's finger. Not because of its weight. It was thin, simple, elegant, nothing flashy, but because of what it meant. Even if this marriage was a lie, even if the lines between reality and performance were still blurred, this metal band on her hand screamed permanence in a way nothing else in her life ever had. Isabella sat beside her in the back of the town car, legs crossed, hands folded in her lap with clinical precision. But every so often, her pinky brushed against Maya's. Intentional? Accidental? Maya couldn't tell. Are you ready for this? Isabella asked, her voice quiet, almost reluctant. You're asking me that now?
Maya said, eyebrows raised.
On our way to the engagement dinner with your family? Isabella looked straight ahead. They're going to hate it. Why? Because they hate me. That's comforting. They think I'm impulsive, that I inherited the name, but not the discipline. They're already trying to hand the company to Charles. Your cousin? The human embodiment of a necktie, yes.
Wow.
Maya exhaled and rubbed her palms against her dress. Okay, walk me through the script again. We reconnected last year at an alumni gala. Started dating a few months later. Got serious quickly. You moved into the apartment 3 weeks ago. I proposed 3 days after that. Romantic. Unrealistic enough to raise eyebrows, but plausible enough to pass legal review. And the real story? Isabella paused. You showed up, and I needed you. So we're going with desperate nostalgia as our foundation? You tell me. You're the one who said yes. Maya didn't respond. She looked out the window at the glittering skyline, trying to ignore the way Isabella's perfume was crawling under her skin like a memory she hadn't invited back. The restaurant was a cathedral of glass and tension. Her heels clicked against marble as they entered, arm in arm. The hostess barely blinked before guiding them to a private room, where a long table stretched beneath a chandelier that probably cost more than Maya's apartment. And there they were, the Moreaus. 5 of them, all polished, all perfect, all with expressions like they'd swallowed something bitter. Isabella introduced her quickly. This is Maya Taylor, my fiancé. A beat of silence. Then her mother spoke. Charming. We weren't aware you weren't involved. Maya smiled tight. It was fast. Clearly. Her uncle sniffed. Do you work, Miss Taylor?
Yes.
I'm a teacher.
Oh.
The word dripped condescension. High school. College. Literature.
Right.
That explains the creativity. Maya felt Isabella tense beside her, but her voice stayed smooth. Maya graduated top of her class. And unlike most people at this table, she actually knows how to hold a conversation. Her aunt fake laughed. So sharp, Isabella. Inherited it from grandfather. You also inherited his need to destroy tradition. No, Isabella said. I inherited his company, which is why I don't have time for this. For what, dear? Her mother asked. For questioning my decisions. This engagement is happening. The wedding will be small, private, and fully legal. Her mother's gaze sharpened. And permanent. Maya reached under the table and took Isabella's hand.
Warm.
Firm. As permanent as it needs to be, she said. The conversation shifted.
More wine.
More passive aggression. But Maya kept holding Isabella's hand. And Isabella didn't let go. Later, in the car, neither of them spoke for a long time. Then Isabella said, "That was awful. I've had root canals that were friendlier." "You were perfect." Maya laughed, dry. "If by perfect you mean I didn't flip the table, then yes. You didn't have to defend me."
Yes.
"I did." Isabella looked at her. "Why?" "Because I might hate you sometimes. But I don't hate them more." "You really meant what you said, didn't you? About doing this for more than the money." "I did." Isabella's eyes dropped to Maya's lips. "Then can I ask you something dangerous?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "Define dangerous." "Can I kiss you?" "You're asking permission?" "I don't want to feel like part of the deal." Maya didn't answer. She leaned in, slow, close, and kissed her. Not a performance. Not for the lawyers or the family or the press. Just lips on lips, soft and aching. Mouths tasting the ghost of what they used to be. It didn't last long. But when it ended, Isabella didn't move away. "We're in trouble," she whispered. "I know," Maya breathed. "But we'll pretend we're not." The kiss had changed everything. And that was the problem. Maya could still feel it days later. Not just on her lips, but deep beneath her skin, like a burn that hadn't scabbed over. And judging by how Isabella was acting, she felt it too. The morning after the engagement dinner, Maya woke up in Isabella's penthouse, alone in the guest room, sunlight slicing through the floor-to-ceiling windows and burning into her like a spotlight. She sat up, disoriented, until she heard footsteps in the kitchen.
Coffee. Clinking.
Silence. She found Isabella standing by the island, her hair down, black silk robe tied at the waist, holding a cup like it was the only thing tethering her to the ground. "Morning," Maya said cautiously. Isabella didn't look at her. "Coffee. Always." Maya took the mug offered. Their fingers touched, brief, electric. Both flinched. "We should talk," Isabella said, her voice measured. "That's never good." "We crossed a line." Maya looked at her. "Did we?" "It was a kiss."
Sure.
One that made my spine melt. Isabella finally looked up. Her expression was unreadable. "That's exactly why we need to stop." Maya leaned against the counter. "You regret it." "No, but you're scared of what it meant." "I'm scared of what it could mean." "Same thing." "This can't become real," Isabella said flatly. "We agreed."
No.
"You agreed." "I never said I could lie to myself that well." "Maya, don't worry," she said, sipping her coffee like it didn't burn. "We'll keep it professional. Just business. Marriage of convenience. No emotions. No more kisses. And friendship." Isabella's voice was quieter now. "Can we at least have that?" Maya hesitated. "You think we can go back to being friends after what happened between us?" "I'm willing to try." "Then try." The rest of the day was a careful choreography of avoidance. Meetings with Isabella's lawyer. More rehearsed backstory revisions. Maya had to memorize names, dates, events, how many times Isabella supposedly slept over at her place before moving in. They practiced holding hands without flinching, smiling without meaning it, laughing like a couple in love. It was disturbingly easy. Too easy. That night, Isabella had to attend a formal fundraising gala, black tie, press presence, high expectations. Maya didn't want to go, but she showed up anyway. In a navy gown Isabella had delivered to her closet with a note. "Wear this. You'll look better than all of them." She didn't write, "I'll be staring at you all night," but Maya read it between the lines. At the event, Maya stood on Isabella's arm, smiling, posing, answering shallow questions about how they met and what first attracted you to each other. Isabella played the part flawlessly. Maya did too. But every time their eyes met, something cracked. On the ride home, silence returned.
Thick.
Inevitable. When they reached the penthouse, Maya started walking toward the guest room. "Good night," she said softly. "Maya, don't." She turned to face her. If this is business, let it be business. Isabella didn't move. I'm sorry I kissed you. I'm not, Maya said. I'm just sorry we can't survive what it meant. I want this to work. Then stop blurring the lines. And if I can't, Maya's eyes met hers. Then this marriage is doomed before it even starts. And with that, she disappeared into the guest room, leaving Isabella alone in the hallway, heart racing, hands clenched, the taste of Maya still lingering on her lips, and the terrifying thought that maybe a fake marriage was safer than feeling something real ever again. The press caught wind of the engagement before either of them were ready. It started with a blurry photo, Isabella and Maya stepping out of the gala arm in arm, Isabella looking polished and aloof, Maya laughing at something the world couldn't hear. The caption read, Isabella Moreau's mystery fiancé revealed, teacher turned heiress? By morning, the story had spread like fire. Social media dissected Maya's clothes, her smile, the way Isabella's hand rested at the small of her back. Half the internet wanted to know who she was. The other half wanted to know how she got there. You're trending, Isabella said flatly, holding out her phone as Maya walked into the kitchen in flannel pajama pants and an old band tee. Fantastic, Maya muttered. Always wanted to be judged by strangers before I've had coffee. They're already creating timelines. Speculating when we met, how we reconnected. There's a Reddit thread accusing us of faking everything. Maya raised an eyebrow. How ironic. Isabella didn't smile. We need to get ahead of it. Control the narrative. Is this the part where we start rehearsing exclusive interviews and planning baby names? Don't be ridiculous. You're the one who said we can't blur the lines.
Exactly.
So let's make this look real without getting messy. Maya stared at her. I think we passed messy 6 kisses ago. 1 kiss.
Sure.
Tell yourself that. Isabella sighed, rubbing her temples. We're leaving town. Excuse me? Weekend getaway. My PR team thinks we need to be seen in a more casual, romantic setting. Something less high society. So, we're going to fake a honeymoon before the wedding? More or less. Where? My family's summer house in Vermont.
Oh.
Cozy. Private. Photographers already have the coordinates. Maya let out a dry laugh. Perfect. Nothing says romantic getaway like a cabin under surveillance. Isabella ignored her. Pack light. It's only 2 days. And how are we explaining this to your family? They don't need to know.
Right.
Secrets on top of secrets. Solid foundation. You agreed to this.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it would come with paparazzi and emotional whiplash. They left that evening. The car ride was mostly quiet, with occasional check-ins from Isabella's assistant, who updated them on media coverage and managed a growing inbox of interview requests. Maya scrolled through her phone, reading comments she shouldn't. She's not even pretty. Gold digger vibes. You can tell Moreau's not into her. That last one hit harder than she expected. Stop reading that garbage, Isabella said without looking over. It's kind of fascinating. Watching strangers try to measure my worth in pixels and assumptions. You're not who they think you are. Neither are you. They arrived at the house just before midnight. It was enormous, all white wood and black trim, perched on a hill surrounded by evergreens and silence. Inside, it smelled like cedar and old memories. We'll have to share a bed, Isabella said simply as she set down her bag. Maya blinked. Seriously? The guest room is being renovated. And if photos leak of you sleeping in the other room, it could raise questions. Questions like, why does your fake fiancé look like she wants to strangle you in every candid? Exactly. The bedroom was huge. Minimalist. 1 bed. 1 pair of wine glasses already laid out by the fireplace. Maya sat on the edge of the mattress, toeing off her boots. Do we at least get to choose sides? I don't care. I barely sleep. Great. That makes 2 of us. They lay in the dark, a careful ocean of space between them, backs turned. But sleep didn't come. Maya stared at the ceiling. Why me really? She asked into the silence. Out of everyone you could have chosen. Isabella's voice was soft, hesitant. Because I knew you wouldn't pretend to be someone you're not. And maybe I needed someone to remind me how to be that brave again. Maya closed her eyes. Her heart ached.
Well,
I'm not brave. I'm terrified. Me too. Minutes passed. Then Isabella whispered, barely audible. Maya? Yeah. If things were different, would you have said yes? Maya didn't answer. Not because she didn't have one, but because she didn't trust what the truth would do to either of them. Outside, snow began to fall, soft and quiet, covering the world in a layer of silence that felt a lot like denial. Maya woke up to the sound of Isabella breathing.
slow, steady.
Too close. Sometime during the night, their no touch, no emotion truce had crumbled into nothing. Isabella had turned in her sleep, or maybe Maya had, and now they were tangled, legs looped together, Maya's hand resting against the silk of Isabella's waist like it belonged there. She didn't move.
Couldn't.
Her heart was thundering too loud. She stared at the ceiling and reminded herself that this wasn't real. That nothing about this, the warmth, the comfort, the softness of Isabella's sleeping face, was part of the agreement. And yet, it was everything Maya used to imagine 5 years ago, lying awake in her dorm bed, thinking about the girl who laughed like she was rebelling against silence. The girl who used to steal Maya's hoodies and curl up on her side of the couch like it meant nothing. Like it meant everything. Maya blinked, swallowed, slowly started to untangle herself. But as she shifted, Isabella stirred. A soft groan, a wrinkle between her eyebrows. And then, still half asleep, she whispered, "Stay." One word, barely formed, but it stopped Maya cold. She didn't answer. She didn't move. And neither of them spoke again. They got out of bed late. Too late for breakfast. The house was silent except for the hum of the radiator and the distant patter of snow against the windows. Maya pulled on one of Isabella's oversized sweaters and padded barefoot into the kitchen. She found Isabella already there, dressed in a turtleneck and dark jeans, reading something on her tablet with a mug of black coffee. She didn't look up. "We should be seen in town," she said, voice neutral. "There's a market.
Some small shops.
Good photo opportunities." "You really know how to show a girl a good time," Maya muttered, grabbing a banana. Isabella's mouth twitched. "We'll hold hands, smile, maybe feed each other something." Sounds awful. It is. Can I at least choose the music in the car? Isabella finally looked up. "Are you planning to torture me with indie folk again?" "You love it." "I tolerated it." "You Shazammed 3 of the songs, don't lie." Isabella didn't answer, but the ghost of a smile crossed her face before she turned away. The drive into town was short, and the moment they stepped out of the car, Maya felt the shift.
Eyes. Phones.
Subtle angles. Paparazzi pretending to be casual tourists. "How do you live like this?" she asked through clenched teeth as they walked past a bakery. "You get used to it." "I don't want to get used to it." "You don't have to. Just for 2 years." Maya almost stumbled. The words stung more than she expected. Just 2 years. Just pretend. They stopped in front of a florist, and Isabella handed her a bouquet of tiny white roses. "Smile," she murmured. "Pretend I gave these to you because I remembered you like wildflowers." Maya tilted her head. "You remembered?" Isabella didn't answer. She didn't have to. At a cafe, they sat on the patio under fairy lights. They fed each other bites of croissant, laughed on cue, leaned in close when they knew the cameras were watching. It felt mechanical.
Easy.
Dangerous. Too dangerous. When they returned to the house, Maya dropped the act immediately. She kicked off her boots, peeled off the sweater, and muttered, "I'm going for a walk." "Alone?"
Yes.
"Before I forget who I am in all this." "Maya, don't. Not unless you're going to say something real." Isabella didn't follow. The forest was quiet, blanketed in snow and stillness. Maya walked until her toes were numb, her lungs burning, her mind racing. She wanted to scream.
At the sky.
At herself. At Isabella for being everything she ever wanted and nothing she could trust. When she returned, hours later, Isabella was waiting in the living room, a book in her lap and firelight dancing across her face. "You were gone a long time," she said. "I needed air. And now—" Maya sank into the armchair across from her. "Now I need rules." Isabella set the book down. "We already have them. Not the legal ones.
Us.
Personal boundaries. Emotional safety nets. Because this is getting dangerous." "You think I'm dangerous?" "I think this is. The pretending. The not pretending. The way you look at me, like you're remembering things I'm still trying to forget." Isabella's jaw tightened. "What do you want?" "Clarity." "I can't give you that. Then I can't give you more of myself than what we agreed to." Silence. Long, brutal. Then Isabella nodded once. "Friends, then." "Business partners," Maya corrected. "With history. With boundaries." "Exactly. And when this ends, we go back to separate lives." "That easy? That hard?" Isabella looked down. Her hands clenched in her lap. "Okay." Maya stood, walked toward the hallway, then stopped. "Do you regret it? The kiss?" Isabella didn't look up. "I regret not kissing you sooner." Maya didn't reply. She just kept walking, into the dark, into her room, into the safety of distance, even as her heart begged her to stay. It wasn't supposed to matter. That was the whole point of the rules. But somehow, every time Isabella laughed too softly, or stood too close, or touched the small of Maya's back in public, it did. Every time Isabella turned her head just slightly when Maya spoke, like listening to her was the only thing in the world that mattered, it burned a little deeper. And the worst part was that Maya didn't know when it had started. Maybe the second Isabella whispered stay in her sleep. Maybe when she admitted she didn't regret the kiss. Or maybe it had always been there, buried under 5 years of silence and self-preservation, waiting for the right lie to set it free. Back in the city, the pace picked up. They were photographed nearly every day, exiting restaurants, attending charity events, walking hand in hand down streets they didn't belong to. Isabella took it in stride, cold and flawless. Maya struggled. At one event, a woman approached them with a glass of champagne in one hand and a stare sharp enough to cut diamonds. "You must be Maya," she said. "I've heard so much about you." "Hopefully not from Isabella," Maya replied with a smile. "Her version of me isn't always the most flattering." Isabella didn't flinch. The woman laughed. "I'm Cecilia. Isabella and I used to know each other." Maya arched an eyebrow. "How intimately?" Isabella stepped in. "Cecilia is a family friend." "Ex-girlfriend," Cecilia corrected, eyes glittering. "But I'm sure she told you that." "She didn't," Maya said, cool. "But that's okay. I'm a fan of history, especially the kind that doesn't repeat itself." The tension was thick enough to sip. Isabella led Maya away by the hand, fast and quiet, jaw tight. "What was that?" she asked when they reached the car. "You want real or polite?" "Real." That woman looked at me like I was a stain on her clutch. She looks at everyone that way. "Did you love her?" Isabella stared ahead. "No, but you slept with her." "It was a mistake. A distraction." "Is that what I am too?" Isabella turned sharply. "No." Maya looked out the window. "It's hard to remember that when we keep pretending this means nothing. It's harder to remember that I'm not allowed to want more." Maya swallowed. "So, don't."
Don't what?
"Don't want more.
Don't look at me like that.
Don't make me forget the contract. Because every time you touch my hand in front of a camera or whisper my name when no one's around, I start to think maybe this isn't so fake after all." Isabella's voice broke slightly. "Maybe it isn't." "No," Maya said, firm. "We made rules." "Then maybe the rules are broken. And what happens when the lawyers notice?" "Let them." "You think you can protect me from all of this?" Maya asked. "You can barely protect yourself." Silence. They arrived home late. Neither spoke. Maya went to the guest room this time, locked the door, laid down fully dressed, and stared at the ceiling. But at 2 a.m., a knock.
Soft.
Familiar. "Maya?" Isabella's voice. Barely there. "Are you awake?" Maya hesitated. Her heart was screaming. She stood slowly. Opened the door. Isabella stood in an oversized t-shirt, barefoot, looking more vulnerable than Maya had ever seen her. I couldn't sleep, she said. And you thought I could? Isabella didn't smile. I just wanted to see you. Why? Isabella looked at her for a long, aching moment. Then she reached out and held Maya's hand. Not like before. Not for show. Not for strategy. Just held it. Because when I'm near you, the world doesn't feel so heavy. Maya pulled her in. No words. No explanations. They didn't kiss. Didn't strip the moment of its gravity with heat or hunger. They just lay down together, clothes on, hearts open, silence pulsing between them like truth. And for the first time since this all began, Maya realized something terrifying. She wasn't pretending anymore. And she wasn't sure Isabella was either. The call came the next morning. Isabella was still asleep, her head resting lightly on Maya's shoulder, one arm draped across her waist like she didn't even realize it. Maya didn't want to move. She didn't want to breathe. But when the phone buzzed again, insistent and sharp against the nightstand, she slipped out from under Isabella's arm and answered with a whisper. Hello? Miss Taylor? The voice was clipped, male, unfamiliar. This is Jonathan Stone. I represent the legal team overseeing the Moreau estate. Maya's spine straightened. What's going on? I need to speak with you and Ms. Moreau immediately. In person. Why? Because your engagement has been flagged for review. Maya felt the words like ice against her skin. Flagged. There are suspicions. I'd rather not discuss this over the phone. I'm on my way to the apartment. I suggest you wake your fiancé. The line went dead. Maya stood in the quiet, watching Isabella stir gently in the bed, still lost in some dream that hadn't been shattered yet. She didn't want to be the one to shatter it, but she was already reaching for her. Isabella, she said, soft. Then again, firmer. Isabella blinked awake, groggy. What? We have a problem. 30 minutes later, they sat across from Jonathan Stone in the penthouse study, both of them dressed, pale, and tense. He was all crisp suit and thin patience, with papers spread in front of him and a pen tapping rhythmically against the table. There are inconsistencies, he began. Timelines that don't quite add up. Photos that suggest distance rather than intimacy. A lack of verified cohabitation before the announcement. We live together, Isabella snapped. She's in this apartment.
Right now.
Yes, but the apartment was recently updated to reflect her presence. Utilities, credit cards, digital records. All of it, too clean. Maya frowned. You've been spying on us? We've been verifying. It's the same thing. Your marriage is a condition of inheritance, Stone continued, ignoring her. If it's proven to be fraudulent, it's not. Then prove it. We are. He looked at Maya now. Miss Taylor, how long have you and Ms. Moreau known each other? Since college. And when did your romantic relationship begin? A little over a year ago. Where did she propose?
Here.
In the kitchen. Do you have photos? No. Witnesses? No. Do you see the issue? Maya clenched her fists. This isn't a scam. You'd be surprised how often love is used as a cover for greed. Isabella's voice cut through the room. Don't speak to her like that. Stone paused. Then closed his folder. You'll be under review for the next 30 days. During that time, any sign of separation, inconsistency, or deception could nullify your claim. You'll be monitored. Discreetly. Legally. Of course we will, Maya said under her breath. Have a good day, ladies. He left. The silence afterward was crushing. Isabella stood, pacing. They're coming after us. You mean me? That's not what I meant. But it's true, isn't it? You dragged me into this, and now I'm under surveillance for fraud. I didn't drag you. You said yes.
Because I cared about you.
Because I thought, she stopped. Bit back the rest. Isabella looked at her, eyes fierce. Because you thought what? That maybe this wasn't just about the money. That maybe we were building something real. Maya, don't. We made rules. You were the one who begged for them. But you're the one who keeps breaking them. So do you. Maya stepped closer.
Yeah.
I do. And maybe that was my mistake. Isabella's voice dropped. Do you regret saying yes? Maya's throat tightened. I regret not knowing how to protect myself from you. They didn't speak again for the rest of the day. But the distance between them was louder than any argument. That night, they didn't share a bed. Maya stayed in the guest room. Isabella stayed in the master. And for the first time since Vermont, neither of them slept. Somewhere in the quiet, Maya stared at the ceiling and wondered if she'd been wrong. If love wasn't the thing blurring the line, but the thing that had never even had a chance to exist between them. Not in the right way.
Not in the real way.
But even as her chest ached and the doubts twisted like knives, she knew the truth underneath it all. If this fell apart now, it wouldn't be because they were pretending too well. It would be because they'd stopped pretending altogether. Isabella didn't speak to Maya for 2 days. Not in words, anyway. She passed her coffee, without looking her in the eye. She sat on the opposite side of the town car, phone in hand, pretending the silence between them wasn't pulsing with everything they'd left unsaid. Maya didn't push. She couldn't. Her chest already felt cracked open, raw from everything that had unraveled so quickly. It was supposed to be simple. A favor. A deal. A temporary solution. But now there were people watching. Lawyers circling. A family ready to pounce. And a woman Maya couldn't stop thinking about, even when that woman was sitting 3 feet away, refusing to acknowledge the mess they'd made of each other. On the 3rd day, it exploded. Not with a scream, not even with a shout, but with one sentence. You need to move into the master bedroom permanently. Isabella's voice was flat, her arms crossed. Back to Maya. Maya blinked. Excuse me? The review team requested surprise inspections. They want to see consistent cohabitation. Shared space. Intimacy. And you waited until now to tell me? Isabella turned around, cold steel in her voice. I didn't want to fight with you in front of my assistant. Oh, so you saved it for when we were alone. How considerate. This isn't about you. Of course it is. Maya snapped. I'm the one they're questioning. I'm the one they'll tear apart when this thing starts to fall apart. Then don't let it fall apart. You think I'm the one who's letting go. Maya stepped closer. You think I haven't been holding this up with both hands while you pretend like your heart isn't tangled up in this, just like mine? Don't do that, Isabella said. Don't assume you know what's in my heart. I don't have to assume, Maya whispered. I feel it every time you look at me like you want to kiss me, but you don't. Like you shouldn't. Isabella flinched. For a second, something cracked in her, something too honest to be elegant. You think I don't want to? I think you're terrified that if you do, this stops being pretend. It already has, Isabella said. Just like that. Out loud. No hesitation. Maya felt her breath catch. Then say it, she whispered. Say you feel something for me. Isabella stared at her. And didn't. The silence hit harder than any lie. Maya shook her head. That's what I thought. She turned to walk away, to flee, to breathe, to survive. But Isabella caught her wrist. Maya, wait. For what? For me to stop being a coward. Maya didn't move. Then stop. Isabella hesitated, then stepped forward, so close now that their foreheads nearly touched. Her breath was warm. Her voice shook. I didn't plan on falling in love with you again. Maya's throat tightened. Again? I loved you in college, Isabella admitted. I just didn't know it until you were gone. Maya's heart cracked open. You're 5 years too late. I know. But I'm trying to be right now. She reached up, her fingers trembling, brushing a strand of hair from Maya's face. And right now, I'm terrified. Because if this marriage falls apart, I lose everything. But if I lose you, it'll destroy me in a way no inheritance ever could. Maya didn't answer with words. She kissed her. Slow, aching, honest. Not for cameras. Not for contracts. Not for strategy. For them. When they pulled apart, Maya pressed her forehead against Isabella's. If we're going to do this, it has to be real. No more running. No more rules. No more pretending. Isabella nodded, breathless. Then let's stop pretending. That night, Maya moved her things into the master bedroom, not because someone told her to, but because she wanted to wake up next to Isabella, not as a contract, but as a choice. For the first time since the proposal, it finally felt like marriage. The shift was subtle at first. A glance held longer than necessary. A hand reaching across the bed in the middle of the night, not for comfort, but for connection. Breakfast made without asking. Laughter that didn't sound like rehearsal. They never spoke about the kiss again, about the confession, about the promise to stop pretending. But they didn't have to. Every touch now came with a weight that wasn't there before. Every stolen moment of silence buzzed with the memory of lips and breath and fear. Maya woke up in Isabella's arms 3 mornings in a row. No distance. No performance. Just the soft warmth of skin and breath and heartbeat, like maybe this was always how it was supposed to be. But reality had no patience for romance. The press had only grown more invasive. Paparazzi staked out their building. Gossip sites speculated daily about the legitimacy of their relationship. Headlines screamed the heiress and the teacher. Real or rigged? And as the wedding date drew closer, the scrutiny became unbearable. We need to give them something undeniable, Isabella said one evening as she paced the living room, a stack of legal documents spread across the table. They want proof. They want permanence. We need to get married sooner. Sooner? Maya asked from the couch. How much sooner? Next week. Maya blinked. That's insane. We don't have a choice. They're already questioning the engagement. If we push the wedding, it gives them ammunition. And if we rush it, it makes it look desperate. Isabella's voice cracked. It is desperate. Maya stood. Were you not telling me? Isabella hesitated. Looked away. Charles is trying to force a vote with the board. He wants control of the company before the inheritance transfers. Maya's eyes narrowed. He can't do that, can he? Not if the marriage is official. Legal. Untouchable. Maya stepped closer. And what happens to us after the wedding? Isabella's voice softened. We figure it out. Together. Maya reached out and brushed her fingers along Isabella's. Okay, let's get married. The wedding was quiet. Not the media frenzy the Moreau name usually attracted. Isabella made sure of it. Only a handful of people attended. A legal witness, her most trusted assistant, and an officiant who barely looked up from the paperwork. Maya wore a simple white dress. Isabella wore black. They signed the documents with shaking hands, said the vows like they were trying not to cry, and kissed in front of the cameras because they had to. But later, when they were alone in the car, Maya turned to her, eyes soft, voice low, and asked, Can we do it again? Do what? Say the vows. Just us. Isabella stared at her, then nodded. Maya took her hand. I promise to stand beside you when things are easy, and when they're impossible. I promise to see you not just the name, not just the business, but you. The girl who paints in secret. The woman who talks in her sleep. The one who makes me feel like I'm not just surviving. I'm living. Isabella's eyes filled. Her hand trembled. I promise to let you in, even when I'm scared. I promise to stop pushing you away when I need you most. I promise to try for real. Not because we signed a paper, but because I don't want to spend another second pretending you don't mean everything to me. Their second kiss was quieter, slower. No cameras, no pressure. Just mouths, hearts, promises. That night, they made love for the first time. Not because the story required it, not because it was part of the role, but because it was the only thing left between them that hadn't already burned to the surface. It was gentle, intense, honest. Afterward, they lay tangled in silence, Maya's head on Isabella's chest, fingers tracing the lines of her ribs like trying to memorize the blueprint of something fragile and finally real. So what now? Maya whispered. Isabella kissed her hair. Now we fight to keep this. And if it falls apart, then at least it was never fake. But deep down, they both knew what they had now was the most real thing either of them had ever touched. And if the world tried to tear it apart, it would have to fight for every piece of it. The wedding changed everything, and yet, outside the doors of that quiet ceremony, the world kept spinning, louder and sharper than ever. Maya and Isabella barely had time to settle into the quiet glow of what they'd finally allowed themselves to feel before the first headline hit. Secret documents revealed. Was the marriage staged for money? Beneath it, photos. Too many photos. Some old, some recent. One of Maya walking alone in the city, before the engagement. One of Isabella leaving a board meeting with Charles trailing behind her. And one particularly cruel image of the two of them at a cafe, Isabella smiling tightly while Maya stared down at her coffee, seemingly cold, distant, a moment taken out of context, twisted into something false. The press went into a frenzy. Analysts speculated. Bloggers theorized. A source close to the Morrow family leaked a supposed timeline of inconsistencies that threatened to unravel everything. The firm called Isabella the next morning. Her voice was cold as steel when she answered, but Maya could see it in her eyes. She was panicking. They want me to step aside until the investigation is complete, Isabella said, her phone still in her hand, her knuckles white. Step aside? That's your company. It's my grandfather's legacy. And right now, they think I've tarnished it. Because of me? Because of us. Maya moved toward her. Isabella, I should have known they wouldn't let me have this. Any of it. Her voice cracked. Maya touched her arm gently. You're not alone. Isabella turned to her. You don't understand. This isn't just about love. Or contracts. This is about control. Power. They've been waiting for me to make a mistake, and now they think they've found it. Then let me fight with you. Isabella blinked. What? I'm your wife, remember? Maya said, lifting her chin. They want proof this marriage is real? Let's give it to them. Not with press releases or photos. With the truth. Isabella studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but if we do this, we do it together. The next day, Maya agreed to give her first interview. Live. One-on-one. No PR coaching. No pre-approved questions. Just her and a very curious, very skeptical anchor named Elise Carson. Isabella watched from backstage. Maya wore a simple black dress, her hair in soft curls, no jewelry except the wedding band. She sat on the studio couch like she belonged there, like she wasn't terrified. Elise didn't waste time. Many people believe your marriage to Isabella Moreau was arranged for the inheritance. What do you say to them? Maya took a breath. I say I didn't marry her for the money. I married her because I couldn't stand the idea of her facing that storm alone. Because I've known her for years. Because I know the difference between a lie and a lifeline. And she's always been the latter. Elise raised an eyebrow. You never once considered what you'd gain? Maya didn't blink. Of course I did. I considered the life I could have with her. The life we'd never tried for. The life we almost had 5 years ago, before we both let fear ruin it. I'm not pretending this marriage started perfect, but what we have now is honest, even if it didn't start that way. The clip went viral. Within hours, public opinion shifted. Fans flooded comment sections with support. Hashtags changed from hashtag Morrow marriage scam to hashtag Maya and Isabella are real. And for the first time, Isabella's legal team started to fight back, not to hide, not to bury the rumors, but to expose the ones fueling them. Charles was subpoenaed. His emails were leaked. Evidence surfaced that he had fabricated most of the inconsistencies. That he had hired a PI to follow Maya for months, hoping to catch her slipping. It backfired. Horribly. The board called an emergency meeting. Charles was removed from all executive matters within the company. And Isabella? She was reinstated. Publicly. Formally. Completely. When she returned to the penthouse that night, Maya was sitting on the kitchen counter, barefoot, eating ice cream from the tub. Isabella dropped her bag at the door and walked straight toward her. You destroyed him, she said. Maya shrugged. I told the truth. Isabella smiled, the kind Maya hadn't seen in weeks. Real. Loose. Free. You saved everything. You were always going to win. I just reminded them who they were dealing with. Isabella stepped between her legs, close. You know, she murmured, when I imagined the moment I'd get my company back, I thought I'd be alone. Empty. Angry. And now… Isabella pressed her forehead to Maya's. Now I can't stop thinking about our bed. Maya smirked. I can take care of that. They didn't make it to the bedroom. They ended up on the couch, half undressed, hearts racing. But it wasn't about the sex. It was about the relief, the intimacy, the joy of knowing they'd fought for each other and won. Later, tangled under a blanket, Isabella kissed Maya's shoulder. I love you. Maya froze. Turned to her. Say it again. I love you. Say it like you mean it. Isabella laughed, breathless. I love you, Maya Taylor. I would marry you again 100 times. Without money. Without pressure. Without lies. Maya cupped her face. Good. Because I would too. For the first time in weeks, there was no more pretending. Just two women, one truth, and a marriage that had started as a lie, but had become the only real thing either of them had ever known. They were finally free. No more investigations. No more secret cameras. No more tiptoeing around their own feelings like love was some dangerous substance that might combust on contact. And yet, freedom came with its own weight, because now there was no one left to blame. No contracts to hide behind. No lies to protect them from the truth. Now it was just Maya and Isabella, two women in love, standing on the edge of something terrifyingly real. And Maya wasn't sure she was ready. Not entirely. Not yet. You're quiet, Isabella said one night, her voice soft in the dark. They were lying in bed, limbs tangled, skin warm, the city humming outside their window. Just thinking, Maya murmured. About what? Us. Isabella shifted, turning to face her. Are you having second thoughts? No, Maya exhaled. I think I'm finally having first thoughts. Real ones. Without the chaos, without the deadlines, it's like I'm finally realizing what we've done. And it terrifies me how much I don't want to lose this. Isabella reached out, brushing her fingers along Maya's collarbone. You won't. You don't know that. No, Isabella said. But I'm not going to let fear ruin this. Not again. Maya looked at her for a long moment. You say that now. But when the silence comes, when the adrenaline fades, what happens then? Isabella didn't answer right away. She leaned in, kissed her softly, then whispered, Then we build something stronger than adrenaline. The next day, Maya visited her old campus. Alone. She walked past the English department, the steps where she and Isabella used to eat takeout during finals week. She sat on the bench, where Isabella once fell asleep with her head on Maya's lap after pulling an all-night. It had all happened. The laughter, the hesitation, the moments that slipped through their fingers because neither of them had been brave enough to hold on. And now they had it again. A second chance. But Maya couldn't ignore the voice in the back of her head. What if this time is just another delay before the fall? That night, back at the apartment, Isabella was in the kitchen, barefoot in sweatpants, humming off-key as she poured wine. Maya watched her from the doorway, and suddenly, the fear twisted again, but not because she didn't trust Isabella, because she finally did. And that kind of trust was the most terrifying risk of all. What if we fail? Maya asked, voice quiet. Isabella turned. Then we fail together. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be true. Maya stepped forward. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be someone's wife. I don't even know if I believe in marriage the way it's supposed to work. Then we'll make our own rules, Isabella said. No scripts. No performances. No timelines. Just us. Maya took the glass of wine. Okay. But if we're rewriting everything, I need to know something. Anything. If we hadn't needed each other, if there was no inheritance, no lawyers, no public eye, would you have come looking for me? Isabella blinked. I already did. No, Maya said. I mean, if there had been no deadline. Just you. Just me. Would you have shown up at my door anyway? Isabella stared at her for a long moment. then stepped closer. I don't know. Maybe I would have waited. Maybe I would have told myself it was too late. That I'd already missed the chance. So, the money did bring us together. Yes, Isabella said simply. But love is the reason I stayed. Maya looked down. Her voice cracked. That's all I needed to hear. They didn't go to bed right away. They sat on the couch, bare feet tangled, shoulders touching, watching some bad movie neither of them paid attention to. And somewhere in the middle of the second act, Maya leaned her head on Isabella's shoulder and whispered, I think I want to stay. Isabella turned. Stay. In this. With you. Past the 2 years. Past the contract. I don't want to count down anymore. Isabella's voice shook. Neither do I. The air between them turned electric, but soft. Like something sacred. Like something reborn. Then let's stop counting down, Maya said. Let's start counting from here. Isabella smiled, tears in her eyes. Okay. 1. Maya kissed her. 2. 3. Isabella whispered into her mouth. Forever. And somewhere in the quiet between the clock ticking and the wine glasses emptying, they stopped being a fake marriage. They became something else. Something real. Something permanent. The day the contract officially expired came and went without a word. No meetings. No signatures. No reminders. The lawyers stopped calling. The legal team stopped sending emails. The world somehow had moved on, and so had they. There was no announcement. No press release. No dramatic farewell to the lie they'd built. Because it wasn't a lie anymore. It hadn't been for a long time. Maya woke up first that morning. The sun streamed through the windows, casting long golden streaks across the sheets and the curve of Isabella's shoulder, bare and warm beside her. Maya watched her breathe, studied the way her lips parted slightly in sleep, the way her lashes twitched as if she were dreaming something soft. She didn't need anyone to tell her this was real. She knew, with every heartbeat, every breath, every ache she never thought could feel so much like peace. When Isabella stirred, she reached for Maya instinctively. Not out of obligation, but like she always had. Like Maya was home. Morning, Isabella murmured. You're staring. I'm memorizing, Maya said. You'll be sick of me by lunch. Impossible. Isabella rolled over, propped herself up on one elbow. Do you realize what today is? Maya nodded. 61 days. Isabella smiled slowly. So, we made it. No, Maya whispered. We chose it. That's different. They had brunch on the terrace. Isabella cooked, something she rarely did, but had started to learn because Maya said once, casually, that the smell of pancakes reminded her of safety. There were no cameras, no staff, no expectations. Just 2 coffee mugs, bare feet, sunlight, and laughter. Later, Isabella pulled a small black box from her pocket. Maya blinked. What's that? Isabella opened it. Inside, 2 rings. Simple, elegant. No diamonds. No press value. Just gold. Just them. We never exchanged real ones, Isabella said. Ours were props. From a stylist. Maya stared down at the rings, heart racing. Are you asking me to marry me again? Isabella said softly. Not for lawyers. Not for business. Not for anyone else. Just because I'm in love with you. And I want this to be real in every possible way. Maya took the box. Slid one of the rings out. I think this time I should ask. Isabella blinked. Oh, yeah. Maya dropped to one knee, dramatic and grinning. Isabella Morrow, I've been married to you once already. But I want the next one to start without lies. Without contracts. Without timelines. Just love. And pancakes. And stolen hoodies. Will you marry me again? Isabella let out a breathless laugh, tears in her eyes. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. They slipped the rings on each other's fingers. No audience. No flash. Just shaking hands and pounding hearts. I'm going to tell my mother, Isabella said later. That it's real. That I love you. That you're not just my wife. You're the best damn decision I ever made. You think she'll believe you? She'll have to. I'm not asking permission anymore. Maya smiled. Look at you. Rebellious. You're a bad influence. You love it. I love you. Maya pressed her lips to Isabella's cheek. You know what's crazy? This whole story, that I spent so long thinking this was a risk. And now, Maya looked into her eyes. Now, it just feels like the only thing that ever made sense. In the weeks that followed, they didn't make a big show. They didn't need to. The world already had its version of their story: scandal, inheritance, gossip, power. But the truth lived in the small things. The way Isabella folded Maya's laundry without being asked. The way Maya made playlists for Isabella's long work nights. The forehead kisses. The coffee mugs with lipstick stains on both sides. The humming in the kitchen. The dancing in pajamas. The soft apologies. The loud laughter. And when people asked, as they always did, if the marriage had been real, if it had ever been love, if it had always been a performance, they just smiled and said nothing. Because the truth was no longer anyone else's business. It belonged to them. And it had never been more beautiful. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.